welcome. We are here. I had to do something different because I feel like I always say, oh, hey, hi, hello. We're here, we're live. So I feel I had to mix it up a little bit.
You just said it. So.
Ah, shit. A little bit of spotty streams going in. Been moving and dealing with a baby. So it has been very busy around the Brews household. But we're here with the Drek Show nonetheless. A Shadowrun podcast. Ooh, where we talk about anything and everything Shadowrun. This week we are going to go ahead and go a little bit of a deep dive into Technomancers. Last week we talked about magic. So I figured we sort of go with the spellcasters of the Matrix. It's magic of ones and zeros, if you really think about it.
There's a
Mathemagician.
Mathematology.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, it's just the magical root is just mathematics as... Anyway, we're getting off topic here. JJ, that's your part. You're supposed to be the one that get off topics, but here we are taking your spotlight.
You could be a math major in the old Final Fantasy games.
It's true. You could attack people with ones and zeros. But we're not talking about Final Fantasy. We are talking about Shadowrun 6th World Edition. I don't think any of us have really any experience with Technomancers. Even if our live play, we had a Technomancer for a couple of weeks before they had to dip out because life threw curveballs. But other than that, I don't think we had many Technomancers or anything happen in the live show.
I'm still under the impression that Deckers and Technomancers are not important at all.
Dang. Heard it here first.
I'm throwing some shade, but...
Jesus.
You know how to find
really
a Decker?
Funny timing if they were like, hey, Deckers and Technomancers are pointless, but check out the new Decker and Technomancer book coming up.
Maybe they'll change my mind.
Yeah, true,
but you know
true.
what? Just break your phone in half. You don't have to worry about getting hacked.
True.
Problem solved.
Chat, if you're wondering, that doesn't actually fix the issue. It's just now less protected if you are wearing cyberware.
Don't wear cyberware.
That's fair.
Why do you need cyberware?
Why, we'll cover why you need cyberware later when we get to rigging and Street Sams. But Technomancers still fill the computer/matrix side of things. But a lot of times Technomancers don't actually do it themselves. They hire people to go do it. They're really just the corp version of a Decker. They just hire people to go do it with their little sprites. We have quite a bit of extensive knowledge on summoning. Donnie, I know that you played a big summoner, Karma. What do you feel like when you look over the Technomancer archetype? Sort of rings true with being a spellcaster or a tech, because when I look on a paper, they look very, very similar.
I think they're identical. Even the entire class, besides like the actions you can take, the drain, the complex forms, living persona. What all did I write here? Echoes, submersion. Everything has like a magic analogy to it. Mm-hmm. So the rules are all really similar. I just don't know what they do. Not the rules, but the...
It's got the rules
actions.
down. The actions itself is a whole nother story.
So what you're saying is Donnie, as the mystical and magic expert, if we ever needed a Decker, you were just going to go Technomancer because it's just an easy switch.
Yeah, probably. I would just need to okay, why do I need to worry about Overwatch? Why? Stuff like that. That's stuff I need to read up on.
Because God gets angry if you don't watch your Overwatch score. Overall, the world itself, the actual canon, it is 2081 currently. and Technomancers were found in 2050. So even in the world of Shadowrun, Technomancers haven't really been around very much. They're still hunted down pretty aggressively, similar to how mages used to be. Now they sort of swap their focus to Technomancers because they want to know why people can make Matrix and electronics work with the brains, which sort of makes sense to me why people would want to know. But I was starting off with the first thing is a living persona, which is similar to their like an icon when you're a decker. But it does it has initiative checks and all this other stuff that you're able to use for a living persona. But what I'm really, really excited for are complex forms, because there are like the spells of the Technomancers. Donnie, I think you were saying right before we started the show, there's like only 16?
Yeah, I think that's what I counted in the core rulebook. Compared to like mages, if you compare like complex forms to spells,
Right.
mages have maybe 16 per
Discipline.
field,
Right.
discipline, whatever, school.
So
So I feel like it wouldn't be hard, especially if you can start with resonance times 2. So you'd start with like at most of 8.
yeah.
You have half of the entire list out of character creation.
I'd be interested to look through them and sort of see if there's a reason why you would need all 16. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to have so you have that flexibility. But I'm almost interested to know if there's just like, I need these 8 complex forms, and then I'm sort of good. Not necessarily like going, oh, I need to start with these 8, and then I really need to grab these next couple to go ahead and go extra.
Why don't we start with what is complex forms, like on a very basic level?
Yeah, so
Pull it back.
let's wind it back. So complex forms there's 16 of them. There are spell-like abilities that Technomancers can do. Some of them reduce Overwatch score. Some of them make it so you can take the control device action, even if you don't have the proper level of access in the Matrix. So you have to get like certain levels of access to be able to use certain skills. And these spell-like abilities, complex forms, allow you to sort of hop in and do that, even if you don't have the correct level of access to do. There is also some that reduces how much Matrix damage you take, are harder to see with Matrix perceptions, or you can even do straight up Matrix attack damage to even protected devices instead of trying to brick it, like with a resonance spike, for instance.
I'm wondering what a complex form is. Like, spells are mana on the astral plane. It looks like a complex form is a cognitive pattern you can develop and implement, and that's all I can find here.
Yeah, I was looking for like what it actually was, like like the flowing of mana for magic, but it literally just is using your brain to put ones and zeros into spots to like do things.
There probably isn't much like science behind it. Like it's still something. It's probably less known about than magic is, because magic's been around for ever since the Fifth World or whatever.
Yeah.
Or was Fifth World before the Sixth World?
Yep.
Was it Fourth World when there was magic? I don't remember.
I think it was the Fourth World, and then the Fifth World they sort of like magic went
That's
into
like,
hiding. And then
that's like
the
what
Sixth
we
World.
are now, right?
Yeah. 2011 is when magic happened. So like right now we're still living life. People are turning into goblins and orcs and trolls. Oh my.
So Technomancers are like new to the Sixth World,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yes, absolutely. But we did talk about earlier how a lot of Technomancers don't do their own hacking or their own decking or anything like that. they hire what they call little sprites, um, which are
These are the little avatars that you control in two-dimensional video games, right?
exactly. Now, they are very, very similar to spirits, um, where they do need to be compiled, which is similar to a summonings test. Um, and they have their own health pool and stuff like that they can be tracked down, have their own Overwatch score, all of that fun stuff. For compiling a sprite, you do have to make a tasking plus resonance, and that is versus the level of the sprite times 2. Similar to spellcasting, but instead of leveling of the sprite, it is the force of the spirit. So again, very, very similar to summoning and with your, what is the summoning? Is it summoning skill? Conjuring skill.
You can specialize in summoning.
And I think you can specialize in conjuring or compiling for sprites.
Yeah, because there's decompiling, compiling. Those are different specializations. So just because you're good at, registering or
right.
I don't know.
One thing I thought was really interesting, putting the spellcaster and the summoner next to the Technomancer, is that they put registering sprites, which would be like bonding a spirit, where it stays around no matter what, until you sort of break it down or it's decompiled. They put that in the core rulebook compared to binding with spirits, which I thought was very, very interesting.
Yeah, they didn't do that until Street Weird for spirits.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's because it's not as well. Like spirits are kind of these free beings. They're another worldly being, and I guess so are sprites. They come from the resonance,
Right.
but they're not really these. I don't know. They don't have free will, maybe, or maybe they do. They're just unregistered.
Right, which is interesting. That being said, I don't think there's certain actions a bound spirit can do that a unbound spirit can. Donnie, correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember.
I know we got that book towards the end of the campaign, and I don't think you really did too much binding because it's bad karma for the spirit folks.
Yeah. They don't really like to be trapped to the physical plane.
Yeah,
but free spirits can spend edge. Free spirits have a lot of different powers, but a bound spirit that you can give, you still have to spend commands and stuff, if I remember.
Yeah.
So they're still limited to a certain number of
actions, right?
Types of actions.
But there's all sorts of different tasks that a sprite can do, and there's multiple different kinds of sprites. One sprite does not fit all. Depending on what you're trying to do, you might bring a courier sprite, or you might need a machine sprite. Each sprite, like I said, has different abilities, has different skills that it has, even has different powers that these sprites can do. Just right off the bat. So like a courier sprite has the cookie or a hash skill, and it powers, and it has electronics and cracking as the main skills. So if you're trying to crack it, use cracking or electronics, courier sprite's really, really good, as well as because it has the cookie or hash skill. Which cookie is obviously sort of like a cookie with the interwebs. It holds a small little placeholder, making it easier for that sprite to get in. Or hash, it makes it able to more protect a file from being hacked into. So you might hash something if you don't want people to get into it. So it's very interesting to me that you have powers as a Technomancer, but you also have to sort of track these sprite powers that go with it. But I guess spirits have their own powers too, right?
Yeah. It translates almost identically.
Interesting.
Yeah, the spirits, and what's nice about spirits, and I don't see an option here for sprites, is you get optional powers. So with the spirits, depending on how much force they don't just have like a default set of powers. At least in sixth edition, they do, but then there's a set of optional powers that you can choose. So you can kind of, just because it's an animal spirit doesn't mean they have to be offensive. You can choose a couple of functional optional powers, but there's no.
They don't get
Translation.
optional. They just get, these are the two powers that they get. Which is interesting because like a force or a level 1 sprite just gets these two powers no matter what. Compared to a force 1 spirit, you probably wouldn't be able to get either of the optional power. Any of the optional powers are available.
Nope.
So, interesting, they have less options, but they're guaranteed, which is really, really cool. So far, before we go into a little deeper into sort of what, like the next level of Technomancers, what do you guys, after what we talked about so far, thoughts and opinions on Technomancers?
I want to know Donnie's min-max brain thought of the difference between regular deckers and Technomancers, and which one do you think is better min-max wise? Obviously, there's RP flavor you can, if you enjoy it, but min-maxing.
I was just going to actually say something, because one thing that's interesting here is all of the complex forms are electronics plus resonance. They're not electronics plus logic or anything like that. They're cracking plus resonance, electronics plus resonance. So it seems like you can dump logic if you're building a Technomancer, because sprites use willpower and charisma.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know a lot of Technomancers also fill that face role. So they have a really high charisma. They don't need logic. A lot of times they don't need agility. They don't need strength. Body's always nice no matter what class you're building.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, is there a good reason to be a Technomancer and have logic and maybe have a deck IRL? Or, I mean, maybe you just don't need it. And I think I remember, it doesn't seem like...
Complex forms still require, against your fading or your drain value, is willpower plus logic is that stat roll to resist that drain.
Okay.
So it's still a nice thing to have. So it wouldn't be a dumb stat more to say.
And that kind of is disappointing, because at least if you're a mage, you have traditions.
Right.
So you can be a shaman, be good at summoning, and then your charisma is still for your drain value. Or I think maybe it's just willpower and magic. I don't remember. But, you get to choose between logic or charisma. Seems like for Technomancers, you have to have both charisma and logic and willpower. So that's
Probably best to go with A attributes.
Probably not a bad idea to go 8 attributes.
yeah, that's probably a perk, because they don't need an expensive deck, so they can probably put E.
Well,
They can't do E magic.
No,
They
you
have to
might
have at
actually
least
go
E.
A magic so you can get
Your complex forms.
your complex forms. The more complex forms, because it's probably based off the base of it, not what you increase it to afterwards.
Yeah, that's true.
So you probably still go A forms, B attributes, C skills, D metatype, E money, or maybe D money, E skills.
D money. I'm always a fan of. I'm a big fan of playing the long game and just buying spells or complex forms with karma, because each one is only 5 karma.
Right.
So is it really worth? Each priority level and attributes is like 4 attribute points.
Right.
So is that really worth, like, ABC? That's like 12 attribute points for 3 magic points. That's the min-max in me.
That's fair.
I mean, how many missions will it take to catch up to the complex forms you need?
Yeah. But you'd have to, if you started at lower magic, you would have to level up your magic and go to submerge.
Well, your max is always 6, so you don't have to worry about submerging. And you can still increase your resonance with edge, but you just wouldn't get the free complex forms.
Right. That's fair.
So it depends on if you want your complex forms now or later.
Yep.
If you want them now, you're trading skill points and attributes, which are much more expensive in the long run.
This is why I almost exclusively play mundane characters.
That's fair. I, as a theme, like Technomancers better than Deckers. That being said, I have made a Technomancer before once in 5th edition, and I absolutely still brought a deck with me. So people saw me as a decker and not a Technomancer. But that was more of for like RP flair and more of like precaution if there's like a GM that has a bounty out for Technomancers. Makes it a little more concealed of what I am.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I thought I remember Deckers are better for electronics and Technomancers are better for cracking, because maybe I have this. No, I think I have this backwards. Technos they make a lot more noise or whatever. They're less stealthy,
Yeah.
but they're more effective, I guess. So it depends on, it's like offense versus defense.
Yeah, and I know like Technomancers are also better at dealing with what's on the field compared to Deckers are way better at getting into that host that you need to get into.
Yeah.
Because you can just cast like a resonance spike, which is a complex form, and you could possibly just brick someone's gun right off the bat. Because it's unresisted matrix damage to a weapon. So like it could absolutely just drop a weapon. Or you can supercharge people's guns or ability or
Cats don't like.
Yeah, I got it. Rest. Ew. So
What happened?
a cat did something in the background. Cat did not like something, is all I heard.
New neighborhood has cats, and they like to hang around the back window, and my cat likes to fight it through the glass.
Did it win is the question.
They're just kind of both bad at the glass.
I love it.
I gotta get my squirt bottle.
He's armed.
Armed and dangerous. So I know, like, especially with Deckers, you know, you can still... Deckers can still go through and deal with, like, the stuff that's on the battlefield and stuff like that. But a lot of times for Deckers to be really efficient, they have to go unconscious and go into VR. Compared to Technomancers, you could still actively have a sprite go, and you could still be able to shoot down range or deal with the threat in front of you without being just a potato in the corner, more or less.
I mean, to me, that's huge.
Yeah.
Like, that's all Donnie had to say. I'm like, oh, Technomancers all day long. I would have, as soon as you were like, you don't have to be unconscious, they're like, oh, they win. Instantly win.
Yeah, because you're not doing any of the hacking. You're just having a sprite you compiled just do a hack for you.
Is there like astral tracking? Is there like, I don't know what that would be. Resonance tracking.
Resonance tracking.
Don't
Because
give me
that's-
ideas.
Because if you send a spirit after someone, you know they can't actually track you, but they can see who summoned the spirit.
You know, that's a good question, Donnie. While you also discuss your thoughts about Decker versus Technomancer, I'm going to look and see here.
So this is where we need like a NordVPN sponsor. Be like, man, if only you had something like NordVPN, Technomancer couldn't fuck with you. All right.
It's true. It's true.
There's a resonance link. That sounds like something, but I don't think it's at all related to that.
No, so more or less a Resonance League is a... or I'm just looking at the Sprite Technomancer link.
And can you still take... Can you still do Matrix actions as a Technomancer?
Such as...
Uh, hide.
Like,
Encrypt. Change icon. Well, that's
probably if you
I don't know.
have a deck to be able to do it.
You don't have like a sleaze or anything like that if you're or a
Actually,
Technomancer?
you probably do with your living persona, because it does have.
Yeah, you have data processing.
Yeah, you have data processing and all that other stuff. Has matrix attributes based on dimensional attributes, plus a
Yeah, they
number
got
of points equal to
sleaze
resonance.
is equal to your intuition.
Yep.
Yeah, that's your device rating. So I think you can do
Probably.
matrix actions as a Technomancer.
Yeah, because your attack is your charisma, sleaze is intuition, data processing is your logic, and firewall is your willpower. So I'm assuming you would still be able to do matrix actions.
Yeah, which would include matrix perception, which would be basically astral
Yeah.
sensing. So there you go.
Probably.
So can a Decker do that a Technomancer can't?
Not be thoroughly hunted down for its existence.
It's true.
I think decks have higher A and S. What was that? Sleaze and
A sleaze and attack.
yeah.
I mean, overall, a deck could probably have higher skills.
Right. A level or the Fairlight Excalibur, which has an availability of 6, only for like 400,000 million.
That's it.
But it has a ANS of 9 and 8. You're not
Yeah.
going to be able to get that as a Technomancer.
Not unless you. What is 9? Is
Exceptional. You'd have to take like exceptional attribute. and
You have to get exceptional charisma and get a charisma of 9, and then intuition of 8.
That's if you're an elf.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they definitely seem, but at the same time, I mean, what's money a resource A? Is that 525?
It's 450.
450. So after you buy this deck that is kick ass to start the game, you have 50k Nuyen to spend for the rest. Can you do it?
That's not bad. I mean, you can still trade Karma.
Oh, that's fair.
And what else do you need?
Sidearm.
Program?
You need a Cyberjack.
Cyberjack
Yeah.
programs.
Yeah.
Programs aren't that expensive.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you'd want to split your big hits are going to be your Cyberjack and your Cyberdeck, because that's basically your attack and defense.
How much is your Cyberjack?
It looks like 210 for the highest rated one, but you can do 140. So if you got the highest rated Cyberjack for 210, you could get the second highest Cyberdeck for 170,
Oh wow.
and then you'd still have like 100,000 million left.
That's
And you'd-
plenty.
That's so
Yeah,
much. Oh, that's
It'd be the
insane.
highest defense, second highest attack.
Overall, they just seem better at, like I was saying, they are way better at doing the hacking. Compared to Technomancers, are way better at messing with the field or being I also see Technomancers as a supportive character. They are a matrix support that can also impact certain things on, your teammates or whatnot, is how I see it.
It sounds kind of similar to like the Technomancer being like a jack of all trades, and the Decker is like the master. Like he can't do the rest of this shit. Like you put him in a firefight, he's probably gonna duck behind a wall. But goddamn, can he hack?
Well, the sprites definitely have their own advantages.
Yeah.
And then there's also some advantages like machine mind that Technomancers can take, which give them a rigor control rig,
Yep.
whatever they're called.
RCCs.
Yeah. So a Decker would have to buy an RCC, which is pretty expensive.
Now we're getting into what I know about. Okay,
yeah.
here we go.
So I think their powers come in their echoes, and then of course the sprites.
Yeah.
Here it goes.
Echoes are like what are those?
They're the
called?
equivalent of a meta magic.
Meta magic. Thank you.
When you submerge and increase your resonance, you get an echo to go alongside it.
What's a meta magic?
Meta magic is when you initiate, increase your magic, you get a meta magic to go alongside it. It's like a bonus power. That's a little bit. It's like a passive ability that mages get.
Okay.
Yep. So like for Technomancers with the Echo, you can get like a living network where your living persona can participate in a PAN, which is a personal area network. You can get Machine Mind where you get a Rating 1 control rig. You don't have to buy it, you don't have to wear it. It is just in your brain. Your brain is a control rig. You can now control drones with your brain. Matrix attribute upgrade. You can increase one Matrix persona attribute by 1. You can reduce biofeedback damage. You can overclock your brain, which sounds dope.
So
I think
over time, especially with that Matrix attribute Echo, you could be stronger than a Decker. It would just take a lot of submersions.
I think it's definitely possible. They're more of a karma sink.
Yeah.
Compared to the opposite way for a Decker, where they are more of a Nuyen sink as well, to think about it.
So you're telling me with a seasoned Technomancer, you got a dude hacking guns, hacking doors, hauling up drones while also still being conscious and putting lead down range, all in the same fight.
I don't know if they're conscious.
Technomancers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it like astral projection where they gotta go into the...
No, they don't have to. Not with the sprite. They could send a sprite, and sprite can go and hack, and you could just continue going. Casting if you want to cast a complex form, you could do that. You don't have to be unconscious for that. You just do it.
And a Technomancer rigger street Sam?
Yeah, all possible.
I mean, I wasn't really feeling Technomancer until now. Now it's kind of dope.
Well, if you take any cyberware, it would lower your resonance.
Right. So it does. It does impact your resonance. So they are, Deckers typically get really good bonuses for putting cyberware in them. They're at the enhanced reflexes, so they get faster initiatives, get more minors, so they can do more Matrix stuff happening real quick. This, you really want minimal, if any, hardware inside of you, because you sort of, after a couple of submersions and echoes, you don't really need it. You can overclock your brain, which gives you higher Matrix let's see, you get a Matrix or additional minor action in 1d6 initiative while you're hot sim VR. So overclock, they can go in VR. They absolutely can.
That's your improved reflex right there, because you get an additional minor action and plus 1d6. So wouldn't that be 2 minor actions? Because you get a minor action for each d6.
Right. So yeah. But you have to submerge and get an echo to do that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things that you could do as my favorite echo, I should say, is called Skin Link. You can connect to a device as if using a DNI simply by touching it. You touch it, and you sort of gain access to whatever technology you're touching. It's pretty sick.
Technomancer street Sam grappler. He just jumps on the super decked out street zombie. Just, fries him while hopping on his back.
It's definitely interesting. I really enjoy the Technomancer. I wish that they are very intimidating for new players to choose. But it's very, very, I think, very rewarding once you put time into it and get some karma put into it. As we're going through, I am looking at chat real quick and seeing if they have anything to say. Yeah.
I know, I was looking over there a few times. think
So we were
people know
talking
more about
about
this than we do.
their array, their attack array, or their matrix stats. Deckers can swap that. It is not like as a living persona. That is what it is, no matter what. So a Decker can swap out 2 of those as a minor action, which is also something to think about as well when we're talking about the Decker versus Techno. Deckers can load/run programs a lot easier. I don't even know if a living persona could take a program.
I don't think so. I mean, it's not like they have program slots.
Yep. And Deckers can soak matrix damage without taking it personally. So, like, if a Technomancer takes matrix damage, they get it. Like, they take that damage. So it's definitely more dangerous to be a Technomancer, because if you get found, they just start smacking you with it.
They also bring up the used grade. What is the downside of getting used for like gear?
So it has a cheaper price, but typically, if it's I guess that's a different grade, not necessarily used.
Want to fuck up your essence?
Yeah. The worse the grade is, the more essence it takes, but it's cheaper in price. So think if you're like putting a rusty cyberjack in, you get half off, but also you get you might get some extra essence drop because of it. So,
But like, what if not for like cyberware? I'm talking like a cyber deck. You're like, hey, I need a really nice cyber deck, but
as far as like gear for that, I'm not 100% sure.
I don't think they have used gear in 6th edition.
Yeah, I don't think they have used for, because I know they have like alpha wear, beta wear, and stuff like that for.
I don't know. I just saw a guy put it in the chat, and I was like, oh, let's see what this is.
I know that
I was just buy new.
right.
I didn't even know use was an option.
I know it was a huge thing in 6th or 5th edition. You could get different levels of used. I don't know if that made the transition over to 6th edition, but I know there's like different grades of cyberware. I believe that made it to the edition swap, but I don't think the rest of the gear had made it that far.
Gotcha.
Unless that's in the companion, and I just didn't look over and see that. But yeah.
Yeah, there's a used grid. Augmentations have grades, and the lowest one is used. You got alpha wear, beta wear, delta wear.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly how they said. 10% essence, 50%
Increase.
cost.
Right. So
-1 availability. That's useful.
I mean, yeah, you think of it. The used grade is going to be easier to get your hands on than a brand new enhanced reflex.
Is
so-
that just for Bioware and Cyberware?
That's
Or
right.
that for normal gear?
No, just Bioware and Cyberware.
Yeah, just for enhancements, I believe.
Makes sense.
Augmentations.
Yeah. So that's cool to know. So definitely something to keep your eye out. You know, especially if you aren't planning on getting too many complex forms, you could sort of take that essence hit. We don't have to worry about your resonance as much. Obviously, you know, you get lower resonance means it's more difficult to resist some of those complex actions. Excuse me. But yeah, the more I'm reading into it, I definitely like the Technomancer way better than the Decker, personally.
Seems
I mean,
more
just-
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would enjoy the more freedom as a Technomancer. I feel like Deckers. I played a little bit of a Decker, and I felt I was having to really go above and beyond to make sure I was safe on the meat space.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of my team, they're like, all right, cool, good luck, and I'm like, no, this is a flesh thing you have to protect. You can't just fuck off What are you doing?
Right.
Yeah. And it's not like you can just sit in the car and jack in, because then you have to deal with noise,
Yep.
right?
That's why I was like, I come up with some shit like, oh, I have a camera. I set up a camera staring at me, wide angle, image link, so I'm seeing it inside the matrix at the same time. That way I can at least be like, hey guys, you know how I told you to keep me safe? Yeah, there's currently a bad man touching me. I need you to come kill him, please.
There's a hellhound that is eating my toes. I need you to stop this.
Yeah, you should not have left, like I suggested.
He's either checking my pockets or eating my guts.
One of the two is happening,
I
and
can't
both are bad.
But my health is dropping. Not sure how I know that.
Ooh, true.
Pan.
True.
Who's Pan?
Personal area network. So that's what you, with Deckers, when hey, you can trust me, hook up all your gear to me. That is a personal area network. A Technomancer cannot do that without getting an Echo. So,
I mean, it's your gear. Take care of it.
yeah, true. Just have it all slaved to your probably super crappy comlink and hope for the best.
Just install armor.
Yeah.
That'll help a little.
NBD.
When I was Karma, I had I don't know if I had anything wireless. Maybe my stun gun was wireless.
Your stun gun, and I think
but I always kept it turned off.
Yep, wireless. Your stun gun. And I think your phone for the 3 sessions that you had one.
Just had a bunch of burners.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. We literally would buy multiple phones. I think towards the end of our series, we just bought like a handful of comm links. And
Yeah,
like,
you guys literally went to.
We just yeeted at you. You're like, hold on to this.
The Jabruvian coffee house, or the Jabruvian coffee house, and you literally would just go and buy like handfuls of burners.
How many you got today? 12.
I broke
We'll
it.
take 'em.
And you're like 10-4. Here's another.
You have a briefcase that you open up, and there's just another burner. Just close it.
It's like what, 50 Nuyen for?
It's 50 Nuyen for
Metalink?
this Metalink. Absolutely.
That's nothing.
That is chump change.
I think I remember somebody even bringing up, like, what happens if his phone gets hacked? Like, cool, you're not going to get anything. All he's got is, like, maybe 2 contacts in there. He remembers the rest of the numbers up here. It's not because he's worried about privacy. He doesn't know how to put the numbers in.
It's true.
I had a Rolodex.
Yeah, I do remember the Rolodex. You'd bring out your backpack. It was goofy as shit.
Classic.
Um,
Decker's worst enemy.
it's true. The Rolodex.
Oh no.
The wrong kind of deck.
My powers are useless.
Right. You know, a Technomancer could still function. Bringing it all back. So anything else we want to really go into and discuss? I mean, obviously, we do have the new Matrix book that's coming out at Gen Con, which I'm super excited about. We're like 2 weeks away from a new book coming out for 6th edition.
I think this is the last big, like, check mark, because we got Magic, we got Rigor, we got Firing Squad, which is like all the not mundane stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Deckers.
Based off of
Technomancers.
5th edition, so there's going to be the Matrix book, and then afterwards they did release a Facebook in the last 2 edition.
The Facebook.
Yep, the Facebook. Yeah, exactly.
It's called Metaverse now?
Yeah, sorry. The meta book.
What kind of stuff did the Facebook have?
It had a lot of gear that increased, like, so if you look at gear right now, it has most of them have like a negative charisma modifier. A lot of
all
those
that in Firing Squad.
they they have some, that's for sure.
Most of the gear that was in that was like all about the social rating.
Yeah. So maybe they tossed it into a Firing Squad. They also had a lot of the book was mostly about gear as well as qualities for faces that they would take. I'm sure they're probably, if they do, they'll put something with like wild dyes into it. Which I feel like a very underutilized thing in this edition is the wild dye. It's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, they have I think it's a quality. It's either quality or something else where you can pretty much just add wild die to every roll.
Yeah, it's a quality. It's just like you add a wild die to every roll that you want to add one to.
My upcoming adept will take an adept sway, and with an adept way, any attribute that's affected by any way by an adept power, I get to use a wild die.
I love wild eyes so much. It's such a high risk, high reward.
I think they should have a quality to where you get like a shit ton of karma, but there's no like option for wild die. If you roll die, there is a wild die.
I'm for it. I'm for it. Send it. Catalyst, if you're here, send it. Do the thing.
Should be an edge action, like two or three edge. Replace the dice with a wild die.
I mean, you just make it one edge because there's a potential of making it pretty good. There's also a potential of it really fucking you over. So if you pay like 4 die and you're like, it's went bad.
Is it only if you glitch on the wild die though? It turns all your 2s to 1s?
Yeah.
I thought if the wild die was a 1.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
if you think about like trying to think of like how I would at least take it if you wanted to do that, probably like 2 or 3 edge, like Donnie was saying, just because like there's 2 chances for it to absolutely just blow up your dice pool, or I guess 1 edge to make it like half of your dice just not be good for you statistically, or you get what your 1 success turns into 3 if you get a success on it, right? For a
But
wild
then you
die.
also are risking paying 3 to 4 edge to then roll a 1, switch your 2s to 1, and then potentially critically glitch because you paid 3 to 4 karma or 3 to 4 edge.
Who knows? I just need more wild eye in my system. This is all I'm saying. But that's not what this episode about. It's not about the wild dice episode.
That's next week.
That's next. No.
We'll talk about wild dice.
Nothing but wild dice.
Can I have a request that our next archetype be fucking mundane?
Well,
Street Sams?
I think what I was thinking is like sort of as it progresses, right? We did Matrix because for some reason I think we started off with Matrix, and then we went to spellcasting. We have Technomancers. Do you know what Technomancers can be? Riggers. So we'll go with Riggers. And you know what Riggers have? Most of the time they have cyberware. You know what else has cyberware? Street Sams. And sort of going through that half of the curve.
And
But
faces are like...
faces can
be
go
like
anywhere.
a pure face. You know?
Yeah, I feel like
I'm
nobody's
just
a pure face anymore. Yeah, you're either a face and something. I feel like nowadays.
Like a pure face would just be, I don't know, mundane with
Mundane with a lot of
Pheromones.
money because of pheromones.
and yeah,
I mean, realistically, you probably go like
nice clothes.
skills, attribute.
Attributes are always more important than skills.
No,
Fine,
no,
yeah.
no. Not if you're going for a pure face. Nah, you only need charisma. That's all you need. Pure face, just skills, attributes, money.
1 point in charisma
race.
is the equivalent of a point in influence and a point in con.
But you
That's
can
why attributes are
also
more.
you could take a skill and get expertise with 1 point of a skill check, and you get +2 die.
You specialize.
Yeah, exactly.
You can just do that the first time you spend 5 karma.
It's a lot of extra karma. Either way. What? Charisma counts for nothing when a negotiation is using logic.
That's only if you include logic in your negotiation, and only an idiot does that.
I would say, if you've ever met this group of runners, which if you guys are around for our Rerun the Night show, you will know that logic is a no negotiation. Let us in. Why? Because we asked. All right, I want to go ahead and roll negotiation. No, I'm super excited. After digging through Technomancers quite a bit, am very, very big fan. Because I already play a summoner archetype in our living community. I think honestly, like if I ever decide to build another character, it might be a Technomancer. Seems pretty dope. Closing thoughts, concerns, wishes you had for the Technomancer, gripes you have with the Technomancer. Let's start with Donnie.
There we go.
Why be a Technomancer?
What?
This is something we ask you, Donnie.
Why would you not be a Technomancer?
Why would I want,
Over a Decker?
if I'm getting over anything, you know? If I'm like, maybe to shut off cameras, but like,
Shut off cameras, open doors, check personal files, brick guns. I could go on.
eh.
All of that without having someone just know that it's you doing it while you're doing all of that while carrying on a conversation.
Yeah. Not asleep in a corner praying to God you don't catch a stray bullet as your friends are protecting
Even
your
if you're
body.
not in a corner, but someone's actively watching you type on a keyboard while you're doing this on a cyber deck. So, like, either way, you're preoccupied while doing it. Just seems really, really good.
Use a different door that's unlocked.
I think the proper question is why
Avoid the
Technomancer
cameras.
over Decker? Not anything.
No, they're in the same boat. Why do anything that involves devices?
Because you're in a cyberpunk world. What
Just
the
seems like you're opening yourself up to getting attacked by a Technomancer.
You live in a world that's non-stop technology. You literally can't. Even if you go to the Barrens, my guy, the Barrens, they're still like, hey, what's your comm link? What's your code? Hey, have you seen this new stuffer shack?
I spent too much time as Karma.
It's fair.
Spent too much time as Karma. I'm like, why have any electronics?
So that way you could show your sin off and you're not immediately just thrown in jail.
Why be in
Why
place for
have
you to show your sin off?
You mean it anywhere? Why exist at this point?
Why play this game?
Just go play Dungeons and Dragons. That's all I got.
No.
That's all I got. You don't have to show a sin. You don't have to show any IDs.
Yeah, why did
No
you do it,
technology.
Donnie? Why are you here?
I'm just here for something to do.
That's fair.
I'm just like, I've only ever played D&D, so I'm gonna make this game D&D.
Anything else, Donnie, before going on besides the question of why?
No, it's great.
Okay.
No, I love Deckers and Technomancers. The Matrix, I get it.
You are now one with the Matrix.
Uh-huh.
Good. It's probably looking at all those character sheets from all the Technomancers that we have in the, or Deckers,
And all the Deckers.
right, all zero
All the
of them.
non-adepts.
Right, all the non-adepts that we have.
For sure, we would get non-stop just Street Sams. I thought that's all we were gonna be like. Hey guys, maybe spread it out. Now I'm begging for Street Sams.
We have a
Spoiler
Street
alert.
Sam.
Adepts are probably the most broken.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone plays an adept because you can just magically boost yourself to do everything else that Mondays can do.
Well, speaking of living community, if you're watching this and you have no idea what the fuck we're talking about, check it out. We'll put the link in the description.
True. JJ, the man of the Matrix and of the mundanes. Thoughts, concerns, gripes.
I feel like the Technomancer is a nice, happy medium to where if you're like, I don't want to be a Street Sim anymore, I want to get into Magic or decking, someone's like, why not both? I don't know. So you were saying they seem complicated, but it kind of sounds like a happy a middle ground to like get somebody started either or.
It's nice. I think it's overwhelming a little bit for newer players, just because if you give someone a Technomancer, you have to look at three different. Like, I guess there are only two different worlds, but you have to think of like So you have to think of decking. You have to think of summoning. You also have to think of the meat space. It's just as a new player a lot to take in when you have to learn out like 3 different systems to go to make your character work. Compared to like if you just go and be a face or a street sam, you have one thing you're worried about. Or a decker, you have one thing you're worried about.
Chad is saying that hacking by deckers in AR is not unique. Like they can.
Yeah, they can hack without going into meat space. Like that, it's just like going into VR. Like they can still hack. I wasn't saying that they were. It's unique to Technomancers. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
As someone who is hacking an AR as a Technomancer, like you could send a sprite to go do it, and it's probably going to be better at hacking an AR, like hacking that, than you would an AR, depending on the level of your sprite.
Is there, so if you're hacking an AR, do you still have the functions to be able to like pick up a gun and shoot back, or is you like you either hack or you shoot?
As far as I'm understanding, for an AR, you just have to focus on doing that as an action. But in hacking an AR for a decker, you're at least conscious and aware of the world around you. You're not passed out in VR trying to work it.
Yeah, but you still have to make a decision. You're either going to do your hacking or you're going to do your flesh.
Yeah.
Your meat space stuff.
Right. I definitely think that the Technomancer is a happy middle ground to a lot of different spaces, but it's just having the person be able to if they want to spend their whole time hacking, then go decker. If you want a little bit more functionality, or like again, if you don't want to be the master of something but a jack of a couple of trades, probably go Technomancer. Is I guess the best way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to the priority table. You know, if you have a lower priority resources, higher priority attribute skills, you can kind of broaden yourself.
Yep.
I guess it also goes without saying, we are not experts, just fans.
Donnie might be an expert at this point.
Donnie might be, but you know, he's got weird opinions.
Just force me to make a Matrix character, and I'll learn everything there is to about it.
Okay, cool. You're no longer playing an add-up for the show. You're now playing a Technomancer.
True. We should just tell Donnie to make characters.
Just play this character for us. Fill this, would you?
Actually, it's a good point. If you're like, hey, Donnie, I need you to make me a Technomancer. You're like, all right, guys, this is your end boss. He min-maxed a Technomancer. Get fucked.
This is why Technomancer.
Exactly.
Cyber eyes, blind. Contacts, blind.
Turn them all off.
Let's just take that out.
Yeah.
That's at least the one benefit
I'm
of contact.
blind.
It's a major action to take out your contacts.
Yeah, you gotta pick up object.
Yep. But guys, thank you so much for coming, hanging out, and watching us just BS around and talk Drek.
Drek talkers.
This is just episode 2 of the official Drek show. So thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. Really do appreciate it. If you are interested in a living community within 6th edition, feel free to hit me up on Discord, on Twitch, on Reddit, any of the above, and we could discuss having you join the community. We actually have the leaders of the community on the show, weirdly enough. JJ is our rules head, and Donnie is our charging head. So
I was assigned this role.
take that. You don't have to take it. You don't if you really don't want
it.
to.
I took it. I didn't think it was gonna be offered, but I took it.
Take that as you want. But either way, guys, thank you again. If you're interested, feel free to hit me up on those options. We are not going to be having a tabletop show tomorrow or the following week. We will be doing session zeros and getting stuff set up for the show. If you are coming to Gen Con, we are doing a live show at Gen Con August, I think it's 6th. That's the date? August 6th, yes, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. If you're going to be there, cool, come meet us. We'd love to meet you. We will try to do a stream of that as well on this right here Twitch channel. The best of our abilities. But again, we will see you guys later. Good luck. Be safe. And we'll see you guys in two Wednesdays from now with the next episode of the Drek Show, where we will be talking riggers. So JJ will have all the things to say. JJ is actually going to be running that episode. So look forward to seeing that.
Just going to be JJ.
Just JJ. Me and Donnie are actually going to be here just playing video games while JJ talks about rigging.
Could you imagine where I'd be in the conversation if I was by myself, came back an hour later, you're like, why is he talking about World War II? What happened?
Where did this go?
Why is he talking about Tarkov?
Exactly. But guys, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. We are going to go ahead and raid over to someone new this week. We're going to head over to Renegade, the creators of Vampire the Masquerade, Hunter, The Reckoning, and Werewolf. Make sure to go ahead and show them some love. And I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.